Here are a few steps to take to be the change we need in the world. You can find this information and take the pledge at reunitedstates.tv. Part 1. Yourself. Politics is just like any other relationship. It all starts with you. There's one rule above all else. You can't change other people. You can only change yourself. When we think of divisions, we tend to blame other people. They are the ones being unreasonable, or they are the ones causing these divisions. But the truth is, we're all a part of this. Each of us is either dividing or uniting. We increasingly view the other side not just as opponents, but as enemies, as dangerous to the nation, as a threat to democracy. The irony is, the other side thinks the same thing about us. But since you can't change the other side, perhaps the question should be, what can I do to be a part of the solution? Challenge your stereotypes. We tend to oversimplify, group together, and disparage large groups of people, which is itself a form of prejudice. The solutions? Tell yourself that the other side is more varied than the stereotype. Acknowledge that their political views are more complicated than the rhetoric you've been hearing. Recognize that the life experiences informing their views are different from your own. Develop relationships with a variety of people who differ from you politically. Read and listen to thought leaders on the other side who present complex arguments. Make distinctions. Try to separate out what you actually have a problem with, instead of grouping frustrations together. Make distinctions between positions and people. You can believe that a viewpoint is wrong without thinking that everyone who holds it is not smart. Make distinctions between policies and values. Policies are a means to an end, not the values themselves. People can differ sharply on policies, yet will have similar goals. Make distinctions between leaders and supporters. You can disagree with a political leader without dismissing all of their supporters. It is overgeneralizing to say, because you support X, you are a bad person. Media consumption. Nearly all newspapers, television, websites, and radio stations are driven by ratings, which often lead to producing the type of content that keeps you engaged. So, our own tendency to pay attention to danger disproportionately amplifies negative news. The solutions? Take a break. If you find yourself stressed or anxious by the news, it's okay to take a media fast and take stock of how you feel. Read a variety of viewpoints. In addition to your own viewpoint, consider adding a variety of media to understand the other point of view. Their interests versus yours. The media's objective is to keep you engaged. Your objective is to stay informed of the truth. These two are not always aligned. This distinction can be helpful to maintain objectivity. Social media. One of the greatest challenges of our time is how we process and engage in social media. People say things online they would never say in person. It can damage our relationships, our view of reality, even our own reputations. This is especially true when it comes to political conversations online. Avoid politics. Ideology is more nuanced than short sound bites. It's okay to skip discussing politics to maintain healthy relationships. Or at the very least, create smaller groups to share more emotional responses. Verify sources. Disinformation can look very real. Check the sources, especially before sharing or forwarding. Don't take bait. What we read often triggers a response that is hard to resist, and we can find ourselves in a thread that spirals out of control. It's okay not to take the bait. There is seldom a productive outcome. Reflect before posting. Is what you're about to post going to cause anger? Would a person from the other side be hurt or upset? If the answer is yes to the above, consider rewording or not posting. Choosing your words. Avoid the following when communicating within your own group or towards others. Avoid demeaning labels like racist, libtards, snowflakes, zealots. The phrase "they all" or Democrats/Republicans makes everything black and white when we live in a gray world. Avoid painting all supporters with the same brush. If you go on a rant about a particular politician, make it clear that you are not putting all supporters into the same box. Part 2. Conversations. Remember, you can't change other people. You can only change yourself. If you go in with the intention to change someone's mind, it will inevitably lead to conflict and frustration on both sides. Instead, go in with the goal of understanding where the other person is coming from. Respect, curiosity, and openness often elicit the same from the other person. Everyone needs to save face. Try not to portray anyone as ignorant, self-serving, or bigoted. Even very different people might have some shared values that can be discovered. Expectations to abandon. That you can persuade the other person to change their core attitudes and beliefs. That you will agree on everything and logic will follow. That your conversation partner will mirror your openness. And here are the 4 skills of political conversations. 1. Set a constructive tone. 2. Listen in a way that the other person feels heard. 3. Say what helps the other person hear you. 4. Handle difficult moments. Part 3. Family. Why family dynamics are more complicated than other relationships. Identity. Because we see a part of ourselves in them, we may feel especially disturbed or ashamed about their political beliefs. No choice. We don't get to choose our family or their political opinions. It's one of the few places we can't sort ourselves. History. Family members have backstories, old resentments, and dynamics that can influence current political conversations. Strategies for dealing with politics in the family. Differentiate. Remind yourself that they are not you. They do not have to change for you to feel okay. Prepare and practice. Because family patterns are usually consistent and predictable, you can prepare and practice how to respond differently. Avoid regression. Nobody can make you regress into your old self. Only you have control over that. Protect your boundaries. Don't let yourself get baited into a political conversation when you are not in the right frame of mind. You get to decide when to engage in a back and forth conversation. Congratulations on taking the first steps on your journey to bridge divides. A few things to keep in mind as you continue. All of us recognize division is a national crisis in our country. Very few of us recognize our own role in it. The truth is, we are all either part of the problem or part of the solution of polarization, dependent on our thoughts, words, and actions towards the other side. Ask yourself, am I unconsciously dividing us or actively uniting us? Every interaction matters. Every moment is a choice. It's going to take all of us doing our part every day to overcome divisions. Being a bridge builder takes time, self-awareness, and hard work. You've just taken the first steps. Continue the journey at reunitedstates.tv and take the Heal America pledge today.